Hey, welcome to another episode of Dave's Imaginations. In this episode, we're going to do another episode of Death Knight Squire, episode 4. Following Burrek Grumbleforge as he goes to tries to find Darek Brewmont, and tries to rescue him from the Death Knight. Stay with me. Yeah, so when last we met, we were, let's go over to Foundry, we were on Burrek had just battled just found a cloak of protection, but he stands at a crossroads and he considers how he got here. He thinks about Lord Elric and Lady Brewmont's lost son, Darek Brewmont, supposedly taken by some undead death knight for his own squire. I needed the sleep, and they were being loud, and they offered me 2,000 gold pieces, quite a sum. I tracked. They said they lost him in the Weathercote wood, so I told him I would go investigate. I went to the Weathercote wood, and the legend of the Death Knight was reaffirmed by a tavern keeper just on the edge of the wood. And I continued my way into the wood, and I battled some spiders, and got a potion of healing, and a heavy crossbow, and a dagger. And I continued on, and I found an old shack, and in that shack I encountered Murkbrood, the Blood Knight of Kiran'Sali, a foul Kiran'Sali dark goddess, enemy of Loth and Orcus, the vengeful Banshee, Death Knight. And he sent me on a quest. He told me he needed to have the Death Knight cleared so that they could bring back the dark goddess. And they gave me this weapon, this sword of the goddess's wrath, to help me on my quest. A powerful sword doing extra fire damage and giving me a +2 on attack rolls to undead. Continuing down my path, I then come across an odd human, short of stature, but his name Shigaxa. He talked to trees and birds and woodland spirits. Indeed, he had a spirit that he sent to me and gave me a blessing. This fairy plumeria, he called it, and I got some blessing of robustness. And he said if I uttered the words pepperword, that I would be rescued from certain death. Continuing further down my path, I found a hole in the ground. I climbed down in the hole. It was a Thieves Den. In the Thieves Den, I looked through the books looking for more information on the Death Knight. And as I looked through the books, I came across a jade and pearls that were very valuable. But there was a blue spinel there that was worth 500 gold pieces. Crawling back out of this hole, this cave, I spot a trail of blood. I follow the trail of blood, and I fall on a pit trap. But with that rope, I was able to lasso a tree and pull myself out. And continuing further down, there's a log covered with moss and mushrooms that turn out to be grack spores that give me some immunity to fear. I make camp. I'm well hidden, but I have a restless night. I only heal 1 hit dice worth of damage, but that was enough to get me to full health. And upon waking, as I continue down the path, I find a low stone building, and as I open the door, I get hit by a dart trap, and I take 3 points of damage, minor flesh wound. In climbing down the stairs within this door, the stone door, I find an altar to Amantor, the sun god, the god of law and justice. Searching the altar, searching the room, I find a scroll of cure wounds. How lucky. And a holy symbol of Aminator. Then I continue down the path. And if my day wasn't lucky enough, amongst the trees, I spot a fluttering piece of cloth, and it turns out to be a cloak. I turn on the cloak, and it feels like it's giving me some amount of protection. And then, as I continue down the path, I come to a crossroads. And this seems very familiar. As I look north, south, east, west, which way should I go? I decide to go to the north. And as soon as I enter this head to the north, I see a pile of stones. I look around. Silence descends around you as I forge deeper, even deeper down this wooden passage. Soon the junction behind me is out of sight. As the passage bends slightly east, a pile of rocks on my left sits at the base of a great oak. I examine the pile of rocks. Through the thick undergrowth, I see one particular tree that looks slightly out of place. The leaves of this tree are blood red, and even the bark is a deep, rich burgundy color. Ahead, it appears the passage bends back towards the earth. What should I do? Should I move with stealth? I'm not good at stealth. Should I check for traps? Let's try. I'll try to be quiet, but not my best. No. As I trip and I fall, and there's a loud noise. I look around, make sure there's no trap. I look around. I don't see any traps. I look around, I don't find any traps. Where am I? What's going on? As I look around, I check out the rock pile to my left. As I approach the rock pile and give it a bit of a poke, it seems fairly innocuous, but I don't want anything leaping out at me in a hurry, and so when my back is, I don't want anything leaping out at me when my back is turned. I jab at it with the weapon. Nope. A thoroughly ordinary pile of rocks, it seems. I see a small spider quickly scuttle across the rocks. It disappears in the cracks. Hiding spiders. I've already encountered spiders in this woods. Now, let's go check out this red tree with blood red leaves. The tree seems out of place here. I walk off the left side of the path and make my way towards it. It sits apart from all the other trees, and as I reach the tree, I realize it's a lot bigger than it actually looks from the path. I stand before the tree, looking up at its height. Apart from its color, it doesn't appear to be especially significant. I think it's a good time to maybe eat one of those mushrooms. I reach in my pack, eat one of those mushrooms, and a new amount of confidence washes over me as I feel a little more brave, a little less fearful. Now, what should I do? I'm no paladin. I could climb the tree. I could take some of the leaves, or maybe just a whole branch, or go down the path. I'm no wizard. I can't detect magic. I guess first, let's try a leaf. I'm going to take some leaves. I collect several handfuls of the blood red leaves. They have a pleasant smell, and with a bit of experimentation, I could possibly be used to make a tea of some sort. Tea might even be beneficial in some way. There's no way of telling at this point. I have no fire. I have no hot water. I'm no mage. I can't detect magic. And maybe the leaves are pleasant. Maybe I'll just take a whole branch. Looking at the lower branch of the tree, I select one and reach up and carefully snip it off while taking care not to damage any other part of the tree. What am I doing with this branch? Should I stash the branch? Should I use it as a walking? Should I use a whittle? I think for now I'll just stash the branch. I add it to my pack. Now, should I climb the tree or move on? May not be the smartest idea, but this is the biggest clue I've had so far. I'm going to climb the tree. Use my Fairmouth athletics, pull myself up into the tree. This is my best at 12, and I believe I have a +4. Let's take a look. Yes, +4, 16 on my check. Climb tree, DC 9. Successful, go to tree climb. Tree climb. I scurry into the tree's branches. I was born for this sort of thing. And the many trees on my hills that I grew up as a Hill Dwarf are born for this sort of thing, and soon I'm at the top. I look over the canopy of the Weathercote wood. There's a lot to see. The canopy appears almost unbroken. However, to the north and slightly to the west, I can see some rock outcroppings protruding above the tree green swath. I return to the ground, and I'm standing at the base of the red tree once more. It's time to rejoin the path. Leaving the red tree, I walk back to the forest path, my mind fixed on my quest. Darek. Why am I not remembering your last name today? Darek Brewmont. I think of his demise. Was it a spectral being? Was it undead that collected him? Slowly, evening seems to be falling around me. What? Evening already? When I reach the tile adjoining the green dot, top of the match, I go to the nasty turn. So back on my map, I continue on to the green dot. Looks like I passed some bones. I wonder what that was. Nasty turn. Roll D100, adding 10 if you were succeeded in your stealth earlier. That was a big no. What am I doing? Not rolling with disadvantage. I'm rolling a D100. So, let's see. Let's see what the D100 has to say. 85. Nasty turn. 85. 51 and above. Not a whisper. I move cautiously along the path, watching on all sides for movement or anything out of the ordinary. But this part of the woods seems unusually quiet. The path turns right and then back towards the north again. Ahead, I see that the path continues. Is that a junction up ahead? This looks familiar. I've done this. I've been here before. I'm starting to retrace my steps. Again, silence descends around me as I forge ever deeper into the wooded passage. Soon the junction behind me is out of sight as the passageway bends slightly east. Oh, I've already read this. I've already seen this as I move on to file page 8. It feels as if I've been in this wood for an age. Now the dim light of evening has fallen, and darkness creeps back under the boughs of the Weathercote wood. I've reached a 4-way junction. You scout around, and just off the pass, find several places that would be suitable for making camp. My bones ache after this long day. My stomach rumbles. I look at my pack for some food. I take out some rations. Some dried meat. I take a bite. They'll have to do me for now. I've been down this path once before. I've gone in most of these directions, I believe. Let's go to Junction Traps. Should I check for traps again? No, there shouldn't be traps. I've already checked for traps. When I'm ready, move. You're talking to the map in the direction I die. If you would like to invest the hole in the ground to the south, go to the entry south path. Could it be deeper to the north? There was. I chose not to go across the stream and into the cave. Maybe this time I will. I'll continue. Was it north? I move north from the junction and reach a shallow stream, which I easily cross. Maybe I haven't been here. I cross the stream. There's a path off to the left. I move north from the junction and reach a shallow stream, which I easily cross. On the other side of the stream, there's a left branching path. On the corner of this path is a sign. The words worn away by the weather. It reads, cemetery. An arrow points down the left path. Ahead, I see the woods open out and a field is beyond. My heart lifts a little, but then I remember poor Darek Brewmont. Moving with stealth, I try to be quiet, but alas, not very well. My adventuring experience tells me that it's unlikely that there are traps here. There are no entries to go west. Yes, I'll go west. Let's go visit the cemetery. It's a bigger sign than expected. So I pull out the sword. What was the sword called? The sword of the goddess's wrath. The gift from Kieran Salise. Blood Knight. I pull out the sword of the goddess's wrath. And slowly, with the weapon ready, with the courage of the mushrooms coursing through my veins, I make my way into a slightly disheveled-looking cemetery. Gravestones are crooked in place, but here and there are freshly placed flowers. At the far end of the cemetery, I see a large crypt, like a dome that has been cut in half. Ornate metal gates stand before a stone. There is a plaque on the outside, but it is too far away to read. With foreboding in the pit of my stomach, I edge forward into this haven of perished souls. Something in the back of my head is screaming, saying, "Hey, yes, go investigate." The voices say in my head, "Oh, be quiet." Trying to be quiet here. No! Voices in my head as I scream out. I'm not stealthy at all. But as I grasp my head, I look around, trying to look for traps. 18. What do I find? I peer into the graveyard, trying to make a visual inspection. I notice that the ground on one of the graves seems suspiciously fresh, as if recently disturbed. I make a mental note, to avoid this area. I proceed to the crypt, being careful. This noise in my head. I'm not stealthy at all. I'm not a barbarian. I'm afraid I might wake the dead. I hear something under my feet, as if someone is moving under the tree, under there. Turning in the graves, and a scream, faint. I get that distinct feeling. My presence has been noticed. I roll a D100 and let's see what happens. 64. I go to the deathbed. To my horror, I feel the ground begin to give way beneath my feet. And I wonder how dexterous I am. I have a little dexterity. I try to jump away, but I can't. I lose my balance and I drop, but only a short distance. To my horror, however, I smell death. I feel a clammy hand grab around my chest and a horrid cloak rattle in my ears. 19 plus 2 is a 23. 22. The result is greater than my armor class, and I'm slammed. The thing has hold of me. It bites my shoulder viciously. I roar in pain. Then I jump to my feet quickly, pulling myself out of this pit of decay before the creature can attack me again. I take 5 points of damage. 5 points of damage. Ow. Bitten by some undead creature. That's never good. Zombie battle. Place a token on the map within melee range to represent the zombie. Oh, alright. We get a zombie. I think I have one of those. That put me here. Roll initiative and do battle with the rotting dead. My initiative, checking my sheet, is my initiative is +1. 5. I'm still trying to pull myself out of the pit when the zombie. How does it do? It's doing even worse. I pull myself out. I look at it. I pull out this sword. This sword the sword of the goddess. I think of the name. The sword of the goddess's wrath, and I say, oh, goddess, I hope your wrath is worth it today. I take the long sword, I take a swing at the zombie. Cut it hard, I do. Cut it hard with both hands. I swing at it, and I do 7 points of damage, but I also get a d4 of fire damage. 7 plus 4 is 11 points of damage to the zombie. 11 points of damage. Noting how much damage it's taken. The zombie looks at me as it pulls his ground, and it swipes at me again with its undead fortitude. If it damage reduces the zombie to 0 points, it must make a Constitution saving throw. Attacks. It has a +3 melee weapon attack. Reach one target. Bludgeoning damage. Alright, it swings at me with a +3 to hit. +3 to hit. 12 with my armor class of 16. It hits my armor, but it does no damage. I look at it and I say, I hope I can cut it down. 8 plus my 4 is 12. Does a 12 hit the zombie? Its armor class is 8. It's easy to hit, and then with my sword of the goddess's wrath, I swing. It's a mere 5 points of damage. No, it's a mere 4 points. It's a 2 for my damage, and then another 2 from the bonus of the weapon. But then, so that gives me 5 plus an additional 1d4 fire. So 5 plus 4 is 9 more points of damage. It's not looking good. I've cut it down, but it is still undead and still coming at me. It swings with one last grasp. 15 plus 3 is 18. That will hit. It does hit me. It hits me with its slam attack, doing 1d6 plus 1 damage. A whopping 3 points. Ugh! I take 3 points of damage with this blow, and I say, had your fun. That's enough then. 15 plus my 2 plus my 4, 19, as I take it from top down, swinging with the goddess's wrath. Cut it in half, as it certainly falls between my fire damage and my normal damage. That was the wrong. 6 plus 4 is 10. But As its damage reduces the zombie to 0 hit points, it must make a Constitution saving throw with the DC of 5 plus the damage taken. Ooh. 10 plus 1 is 11 points of damage. With the 11 points of damage, plus 5 is a 16. Let's see if it gets back up. It starts to quiver again, and I look at it, and it's just ready to pounce. But then it settles. It settles, and it stays quiet. I took 5 points of damage in that. Let's put that on our character sheet here. All right. Is there anything after this? I'm victorious. The creeper has been slain. 50 XP. And now I know. I finally lay waste to the undead creeper, but I keep my weapon in hand as I turn, facing the crypt. Fancy that. I just heard an echo of some sort, like just the faintest note of a song. An incantation? It was too faint to tell. I noticed the dappled light of sun getting low in the sky once more. As I pause to clear my throat, the stealth is lost on me. Dappled light of sun getting low. It feels like an hour since this morning. It only feels like it's only been an hour, but yet, what is going on with time in this wood? The burden of the quest lays heavily on my mind, and I begin to sense the urgency. Perhaps it is already too late to rescue Darek Brewmont. I hope not. I'm no paladin. But let's move forward and investigate the entrance to this tomb. Before I do, I will pull out the spell scroll. I pull out the spell scroll, my inventory, and I cast this, read this Cure Wound spell. 1d8 plus 2. 10 points of healing, just the right time, into this crypt. This tomb. I walk slowly forward, primed for any surprises that might suddenly present themselves. As I near the crypt, I see that it is ornately carved and also set into a solid bank of earth that sits behind it. It appears that the crypt extends underground in some way. It doesn't take a dwarf to see that whoever constructed this was lavish in their tastes. Above the door is a coat of arms with a small plaque set beneath. It reads, "Together for all eternity, abiding peacefully in the rays of Amantur, the family of..." Where the name of the family was, presumably carved before now, the marble has been chipped away until unrecognizable. I can see the top of an A near the middle of what used to be the name, but that is all. I see the gates and the double stone doors beyond, ever so slightly ajar. They appear to be open. To check the entrance for traps. Yes, I'll check the entrance for traps. 12 on the die. Well, I may have rolled too soon, but let's see. Gate trap. DC 12. Yes. Bated breath. Something seems devious. The entry to the crypt appears trap-free. Gingerly, I open the gates. The metal seems to be relatively rust-free. Odd. And does not creak as I open it, as I might have expected it would. Easing myself in within the gates, I grasp the handle to the left stone door and lean back, and it swings open smoothly. I cross the threshold, moving inside the door and into the cool sounds of the crypt. A stone passage well paved with solid rocks. Solid rock walls extends ahead. All right. Cross the threshold, move your token to submap 3, and go to the top of page booklet and follow the directions given. Creeping warily forward, I peer down the passageway and see a chamber at the end. A brief inspection here reveals no traps. I move forward, listening, watching. My periphery, all my senses are heightened. I enter the large chamber, and on either side are marble plinths, 4 in all, each topped with a coffin. The air is stale and musty. There is an exit on the far side of the room, and I can see that it continues for a short way and then bends to the right. Am I moving stealthily? Doubt it. But in this case, perhaps. I am. Somehow my armor is quiet at the moment. When I reach the room with the coffins, I may check for traps by going to the entry room traps. I will do that. Room traps. I roll perception. I can peer around, and I'm successful. No room traps. I see no room traps here. Then I go to entry mausoleum. This room is silent. It smells of decay. The 4 coffins are well kept, though, and don't look especially old. The wood is of high quality, and amongst the musty smell there is also the aroma of lacquer in the air, a sure sign of wealth. Whoever this dead family was, they were not short of gold. They were not short a gold piece or 2. The exit on the far side leads into an open passage that continues and bends to the right. Do I dare open a coffin? I think I'll proceed. For now, I'll leave the coffins be. Proceed to the exit. I proceed to the passageway and make your way towards the bend. Move my token to submap 4. As I went, and I checked around the coffins. There's no traps here. Not seemingly. But let's move on. As I move on to submap 4. I edge forward and fancy I hear something from far, far down the passage ahead. My heart leaps at the sound, and I freeze. All falls silent again. Slowly, I move forward again, gripping the handle of my weapon. Moving with stealth? Doubt it. Nope, not that time. If the voices in my head are loud, it's quiet. I check for traps. I already did this once. Bend traps? I succeed if I'm successful. Go to passage traps. I search thoroughly, and to my great surprise and relief, find some suspicious slits in the wall, and a further search reveals the pressure plate in the floor. This looks like it could be a blade trap of some sort. Carefully, I slide past the pressure plate and move past it towards the room beyond, which I can now see at the end of the passage. So I move on, dodge the blade traps. I go to the circular room. Circular room, that's where I'm at. I should have known. The room is circular. This room is perfectly circular, and unlike the last one, it does not smell musty. There is a faint smell of incense here. And at the other side of the room, from where you entered, I can see an altar of some kind. Rubble is scattered across the altar and the floor at its base. To investigate should I investigate the rubble? Or continue towards the exit on the far side of the room? I think it's best to look at the rubble. I move over to the altar and check out the rubble. It becomes obvious quite quickly from the look at these fragments that a holy idol of some sort once stood here. but it's been destroyed. Wondering what this could mean. Or perhaps I already know. I continue to the exit on the far side. Television. I hear the same sound again, much clearer than before. Someone is in pain, groaning and pleading. It sounds like a boy. I breathe silently, steadying my nerves, and move slowly forward, my mind surprisingly clear. I go up to the altar. It's broken. And then I continue north. As I approach the left bend ahead, the noise becomes clearer, a low groaning, and underneath that, a growling sound. Then another sound, the chink of metal, the sound of armored feet across stone. Then a ragged, broken voice speaking a 2-word command. Kneel, Squire. Am I moving with stealth? I doubt it. Nope. If I have a hand-drawn map, make this check with advantage. I don't have a map. Take note of the success failure and go to Bending's Passage. As quietly as I can, I sidle around the corner. A diagonal passage continues ahead and opens into the room, which appears to be illuminated. I hear the voice again, a little more than a growl shaped into the words, Look at me! Cur! Look at me! I take advantage of these words to make a few more steps, and then I have a view. This view? Suddenly I fancy I hear the neigh of a horse, as if from far away, almost like an echo. I'm no barbarian. To move this through the rows of gravestones, through the crypt, should I move through the gravestones towards the crypt, am I in the right spot? I have a view. I have a view into the room. What I see stops my heart. Seated on a large throne atop a dais is a gruesome-looking warrior. Even sitting down, he appears tall. I reckon his height to be at least 7 feet, probably taller. He is armored from head to toe, although his face and parts of his midriff are exposed. The armor is patched and rusty. In his hand, he holds a huge sword, and he's glaring at the bound figure groveling before him. This figure has their back to me, but I notice the clothes of a noble. From his size, I judge this to be a teenage boy, likely Darek Brewmont. Which can only mean one thing. This bug ugly guy on the throne, he must be the Death Knight that I've been searching for. And it looks as though I have arrived just in time. This appears to be a squiring ceremony. I feel malevolent energy pulsing from the warrior, watching. My mind races as I carefully consider my next move. Oddly, to his right, a brazier which emanates an unearthly blue light, casting an eerie pall over the huge warrior. Place a token to represent the Death Knight on the throne, and one representing you near the door. Don't worry about a token for Darek just yet. All right. As I think about what I'm going to do, as I sit here and I contemplate what I'm going to do next, as Burrek contemplates what he's going to do next, he says, I think we'll save this for the next episode. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. And if you are, what's going to happen? Will Burrek be able to take on this Death Knight on his own? I don't know. He's pretty intimidating. He better pop another one of those mushrooms. But we'll see next time. Episode 5. We'll be in episode 5 next time as we see what happens when Burrek confronts the Death Knight. Can he save poor Darek Brewmont? We'll have to find out. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to be alerted for my next episode, go ahead and hit that alert button. All right, so thanks for joining. Dragon.